do a little video here about this book by William Crook Jr. I've been looking at this book today since I just could not draw. I don't know what's going on, but my energy level is just really low today. So I've just been taking a look at a lot of comics and art and the stuff that I own, and this one is really interesting. William Crook Jr. is an artist who I first became aware of in the pages of Mineshaft, the zine that's been around for 20 years. Pretty amazing. One of the coolest zines, I don't know if you guys know about this, but they include work by stuff from Art Crumb's sketchbooks. There'll be some Art Spiegelman work. Here's Bill Griffith. Oh yeah, there's some Art Spiegelman right there. Some poetry. I mean, it's just like a good old-fashioned zine, but it's like with really high-quality artists and writers involved. So that's where I first became familiar with William, or Bill Crook. And he's a Springfield artist. And last summer, I went with John Porcellino, and we visited him, and he gave me a copy of this book, which are these beautiful drawings of his hometown. And he says, I draw what interests me most. So, he's kept a sketchbook since 1976, and he's drawn his city, Springfield. Very interesting, like a regional artist. He still lives there. I'm sure he's a very well-known person around that city, kind of their official artist and historian. So this book has a lot of kind of background information about the city, things that have changed over time, like his thoughts and memories of growing up there. See here, he talks about this really old tree, old oak tree that existed there in front of this house, that he was saying, that it started its life in the 18th century. And then one day he noticed it had fallen down into this house here and messed it up. But it's kind of interesting. He lived long enough, like this tree lived long enough that Bill was able to see the ending of that tree's life. It's kind of, how many people live through that tree's existence, and then Bill just happened to be there when it ended. And then here's an old gas station that he recalls when he was growing up, and how it looks now after being remodeled. Pretty hideous. Beautiful buildings that are gone, torn down, turned into parking lots. And then his thoughts about those buildings and memories. And just look at these. This is pen and ink. And it's so incredibly detailed. It's so gorgeous. He lavishes attention on his drawings like the way that a oil painter would or something. He just, instead of paint, it's just pen and ink. And I went down to his studio below his house, and it was just like this little beautiful world away from the rest of the world. Pretty inspiring. Abraham Lincoln's house, I went there. I guess I shouldn't give away this entire book, but it's really stunning and fascinating. The writing and the drawing, these landscapes. And there's a lot that you can learn from. For example, trees are always a difficult thing for me to draw. I have to invent a new way to draw it every time I do it. So I really appreciate seeing how some people get around that. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright house. We went and visited that home while we were in Springfield. And Bill's a great guy. He's kind of an old, he's an older man. He's sort of a old hippie. Very kind of old beatnik. I guess, it's like they say sometimes it's maybe better to just follow, create art for a specific audience, and instead of trying to reach a wider audience. So Bill seems like he's really interested in being like this regional artist for this specific place, and that's pretty satisfying. That's probably more satisfying than being like world renowned or something, and all the stresses that would come with. That's nice. Well, anyway, maybe you can find a copy of this book online or something, but I recommend it. It's really fascinating, and he's a great guy, and I just thought I'd share that with you. I hope you guys have a good evening.